So, good morning, Mandy, and welcome to the Iron Woman Hour. This is your first presentation. I'm so excited to hear how we're going to all shave 5 hours off our week. That sounds absolutely amazing. I'm already thinking about what am I going to do with my 5 hours, yeah? And it probably isn't going to be industrious. It's probably going to involve sitting in a Prosecco garden, as you call it, Mandy. So over to you, Mandy. Welcome to Iron Woman, and I really look forward to your presentation.
Oh, thank you, Cheryl, for the warm welcome and the opportunity. And ladies, it's so lovely to see you and hear your own experiences, because there are words I picked up on that I'm so familiar with, that my clients regularly tell me about overwhelm. My clients regularly talk about how they need to prioritize self-care because they recognize that will give them the energy to achieve the things they need to achieve. And I love the openness and honesty of those days when things just don't get done. You know, that's true, Karen. If we haven't got physical energy, it can be really difficult. But some of the strategies that I'll chat to you about today will make it a little bit easier. And I want to welcome you to ask questions as we go along. You know, I have got some techniques I'll share, but this session is all about you and your experiences and how I could help. There are things that have been mentioned in your introduction that fill me with excitement, like the decluttering word. You know, that's another one of my specialties. But let's crack on with what I'm here for today. Good news, I'm not a death by PowerPoint girl, but I do like to have a few slides just to give a framework. And some people like a visual, you know, they like to know what's going to happen and, you know, how today's going to go. So I'm going to do just that for you, if that's all right. Cheryl has kindly allowed me to share screens. So I'm going to invite you now to take a moment to think about what you would do. And Cheryl's already started doing this. If you had an extra 2.5 days a month, or to put it another way, an extra month every year, you know, would you like to just do more work and earn more money? Would you like to have time for self-care, which actually saves time, by the way, because if you look after yourself, you'll be more successful anyway? Or is it about, you know, embracing your hobbies, spending time with family and friends, or just downtime? Or for me, ladies, it was a combination of all of these things. And quite honestly, I reached a point where I was almost forced to make changes because things had got that bad. And my journey of transformation led to me basically changing the way I worked and lived. And it had such a powerful impact on my life, my success, my relationships, my mental and physical health, that I felt compelled to share it. So have a little think about what you would do with that extra time while I tell you just a little bit about me, because today's going to mostly be about you. But why am I qualified to talk to you about time management? So I was a founder member of the Admiral Group. Have you all heard of the Admiral Group? And I was a member of the senior management team as well. So when I joined Admiral, there were 20 people on one floor in a decrepit old building in Cardiff. And during my 30-year career there, that business grew to a multi-billion pound business with 11,000 staff across 7 countries. My own department had 70 staff, and I had responsibility for 14 external suppliers. And I'm not talking Joe Blogg's printers, I'm talking Visa Europe and Barclaycard UK. They're the kind of contracts I was managing, negotiating commission, and very, very busy job. Lots of work. And the word overwhelm that was mentioned in the intros, my goodness me, I knew a lot about that. In fact, I came within a hair's width of complete and utter burnout. And then I realized back in 2017, something had to change. That's what you're going to hear about today. When I'm not working on my business, which I launched 2 years ago to share my experiences with the wider business community, I love traveling around the UK in my motorhome, or when the weather gets on my nerves, getting on a plane and going somewhere hot and sunny with palm trees. And Cheryl and I were talking this morning about being Prosecco ready. You know, I've started getting my garden Prosecco ready. I'm looking outside now. There's fairy lights, there's bunting. As soon as the rain stops, I'm out there. So that's a little bit about me. The most popular programme I run at Aspiration Station is called Fast Track to Time Back. And that is designed to inspire you to take control of your day. So I'm not, giving you a lecture here, ladies. I'm empowering you to grab these techniques, to use some quick wins, to transform the way you work. And that will help you to be even more successful. So here's a little slide that is going to show you what we're going to cover today. To help you find an extra hour in your day, I am going to do these things. First of all, I'm going to expose the time wasters. So I love the fact that Althea was really honest about the fact, sometimes she's not even sure where she is with time management. I hear that a lot. Then I'm going to stop at what I call the elimination station. So I'm going to take those time-wasting monsters and I'm going to convert them into a strategy that will help save you time. We're going to talk about planning your day to get on track. And for those of you that suffer from being a bit lost, perhaps when you're lacking energy, a solid plan can actually help give you a little bit of momentum even when you're tired. Then we're going to do creation for elation. And this is all about things that will serve you and will help you save time. So let's crack on first of all then with the time wasting monsters. And here they are. I can share this slide deck with you. I can send this to Cheryl. So feel free to write notes, but you will get the slides with little reminders of what we've talked about today, if that's helpful. Okay, the time wasting monsters. Number one, email. Okay, who thinks they waste time on email? Do you have a lot of email? Do they take longer than you'd like? Well, here's a little statistic for you. A skim read to decide what to do takes 30 seconds. Why do I know this? Because I've done a time and motion study and I measured it. So a typical skim read is 30 seconds, which isn't much. But what we'll talk about later is how that can turn, if we're duplicate reading, parking, flagging, that can actually waste a lot of time. We'll talk a little bit about that later. So keep that little number in your head, 30 seconds per read. Number two, task switching. Okay, you may not know, scientific studies have now measured how much time task switching wastes. So who is prone to task switching? Who gets started on something and an email comes in and you're off and you're doing the email and then you're on LinkedIn and before you know it, you're doing something completely different. Task switching, please remember this number, ladies, 21 minutes per task switch. Per task switch. If you do that 3 times a day, you've instantly got your hour and we haven't even got started. Yeah? Why is it so long, you think? Well, if you're concentrating on something and you go to an email that takes you somewhere else that does something else and then you come back, 2 things going on there. First of all, the thing that has taken you away from the original task, you won't be giving it 100% of your attention because you'll still be thinking about the original task. And when you finish the original task, even if you discipline yourself to just do that one thing and it doesn't take you somewhere else, when you come back to the original task, you might be thinking about what you just did and you were distracted by. You've lost your concentration and you've got to reread to figure out where you were and what you were doing. 21 minutes. So please remember that number because that will be one of the most powerful bits of information you get today. Then there's what I call hokey cokey. So hokey cokey, in, out, take it all about. These are the little tasks, the administrative tasks that you might do several times a day, but not all at once. So you might pop into your calendar and put something in, or you might go into email, do a couple of emails, and then go off and do some of the work and then come back to email. Hokey cokey is in, out, shake it all about. We've got a strategy for that. Next step, procrastination. Who procrastinates? Even Mandy, the time management expert, procrastinates. The difference with me is I know when I am and I know how to stop it. You know, I still do it a little bit, but I do it a lot less, and I have got a strategy to overcome it. Next one I call hide and seek. Now, hide and seek's fun, isn't it? When you're 7 and you're playing outside. When it's not fun is when you're a busy business owner and you're looking for something that you can't find. So decluttering is part of it, you know, having an organised workspace. But let's be honest, most of the things that we look for when we're working these days are electronic, aren't they? Multiple places where stuff can be, you know, email folders, am I right? You know, Microsoft Teams, or was it in WhatsApp? Oh, hang on a minute. No, it was Facebook. No, I've got it. It's LinkedIn. Yeah. You're looking for things and it's difficult to find them. That wastes a lot of time. And finally, what I call over and over. So over and over is all about things that you do, similar things lots of times. So I'll give you an example. LinkedIn invite to join, you know, connect with me. Typically speaking, you'll say similar things every time you send that invite. So we've got some strategies for over and over as well. Okay, before I get started with Elimination Station, who's got any questions about the time wasting monsters? And I'll just share the screen so you can see the whole list. Anybody got any questions before we start looking at solutions? We all good?
Just one thing on the task switching, because I'm terrible for that one. And I find it's because I don't know what the optimum amount of time is for a task, but I get bored. So even though I want to do the task, I'm bored of the task. So I switch it up to something else to relieve the boredom before coming back to the task in a way.
Okay, thank you for sharing your experience that, Kim. And yet that happens to me too. So it's the time you allocate the task is the key to that one, right? So if there's something that doesn't, as you describe it, find your joy in, right? For me, I would be doing one or two things. I'd either be breaking it into bite-sized chunks. So you do a little bit of it, and before it gets too painful, you then move to something else, but you've at least got some of it done. That would be my first thing. I call that chunking. A bit of an NLP word, that, isn't it, Cheryl? Chunking. It just kind of breaking down a little bit. So that works for me. Or the other thing is, could someone else do it, is a question you might want to ask yourself. So if you're making a certain amount of money and you're spending time, let's say, for example, on social media, and you can earn X pound per hour, and a social media expert that finds joy in that stuff and can do it super quick and very well, right? If you pay them an amount of money that is similar to what you earn, that could be good value for money, you know. And I know as business owners, it's difficult, isn't it, trying to decide what you spend money on? You know, I typically go for free and cheap. Why? Because I was brought up in a company, Admiral, didn't spend money. You know, we made a lot of money because we had pretty much zero budget for stuff. And, you know, that model worked. So as a business owner, I've been a bit of a cheapskate, I'll be honest with you. But there are some things that are worth spending money on, like the website, the lovely Lisa, you know, Wonderful World of Websites. She's created this upgraded website for me and put a Google review button on there, right? That's a game changer for me, because now I can just send a link to my clients to do a Google review after they've worked for me. Easy. I've taken away the barrier. You know, they don't know, oh, I've got to go on and find her on the blooming map. And they've got the link. There's absolutely no excuse. And if someone said something lovely about me in an email or a LinkedIn recommendation, I copy what they have said and I send it to them with my Google link. And I say, would you be kind enough to pop this on my Google review? Because it's really powerful in the world of SEOs. I couldn't have done that without Lisa, right? So I have spent a fair chunk of money on my website, but it is serving me. So it is good value because I can go off and do my time management thing and earn money doing that. And Lisa has brought my website to life and brought me Google reviews. Yeah? Does that help, Kim?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
chunk or higher is the answer. Right, we're going to move on now to the elimination station. So let's take email first up then, and what I call the power of one. Now, here's the thing, ladies. My fast track program is a workshop that is 3 hours. Okay, I haven't got 3 hours today. So as a time management expert, what I'm doing is I'm going to go for the low hanging fruit. So I'm going to give you those little nuggets that will serve you. But there's a whole bunch more to this. So in the fast track program, we spend 90 precious minutes just on an email inbox zero strategy and a communication strategy that reduces your incoming emails by 50%. So that served me in my corporate world, but there's a lot to it. You know, instead of the read the email, do it now, there are some things you have to defer, but there are techniques to do that in a really organized way that gets the stuff done. But the first and most important thing to remember is only read that email and make that skim decision once. So don't look at your inbox when you haven't got time to do at least something with it. Yeah? So I'm going to reel off some things now, and I'm going to invite you to nod or smile when you hear an email description that is either currently in your inbox or has been within the last week. Okay? So it's in there and it's sitting as a part of what could be a big inbox, I don't know. So you don't know what to do. You've decided what to do, but you haven't had time to do it. You've been copied in, or you're in a distribution list and you don't even know if the action's for you. It might be someone else. You could have just deleted it. It's a marketing email that kind of sounds interesting, but you're super busy, so you'll just hold on to it. One day I might not be busy. I'll come and read that. Ladies, there's never going to be a day when you're not busy. Yeah? So do you know what? The secret to great time management is all about the decision making. What am I actually going to do with my time? Yeah? What can I do right now? What can I defer in a controlled way? And here's the scary one. What can I drop? What is not important? Who or what can I say no to? You know, how does saying no feel to you? Most people feel really uncomfortable with it. When I'm coaching clients, I say to them, you know, when someone asks you to do something for them, there are 2 answers, right? Yes or no. How often do we say no? Not very often at all. But, you know, in my world, there are 4 answers. Yeah. The first one that we probably all most commonly do is drop everything, do it now. But another answer is, yes, I can do that for you, but not until Thursday, you know, or not until this afternoon, a time that suits me. Or number 3, you know, can something else or someone else help? You've come to me because I'm super helpful, but this isn't my area of expertise. There's somebody else that might be able to help you quicker, better. Yeah, try that. And sometimes, ladies, no is the right answer. You know, if it doesn't serve you or your business or your family or your friends, think about things you can say no to and you'll be saving even more time. So duplicate reading is a huge time waster, 30 seconds per read. Yeah. So if you park that email and come back to it 5 times, that's 2.5 minutes. And it really isn't a lot of time, but when you multiply it by the number of emails you have in a month, you'd be surprised how much time it is. Okay, let's talk about task switching then. How on earth do we stop doing that? Well, we do that by scheduling important work and finding a way to limit distractions and interruptions. Now, interruptions are things or people, coming into your space, that call from a client, or, if you're working at home, it might be a child or an animal coming in and interrupting you, or an email, right? A distraction is usually something we do to ourselves, like, oh, this is a hard task. I'll just go make myself a cup of coffee before I do this. Oh, hang on, I'll have a biscuit. Oh, haven't got any biscuits. I'll pop to the shop. Yeah. Quickly, you've been distracted. Or the dog's lonely. I'll take her for a little walk before I do this task. And you're into procrastination. For me, task switching is all about making a good decision, getting it in there in the schedule. And, if you're easily distracted, remove that temptation, turn the phone off, turn notifications off, turn your inbox off. People often ask me in my course, do you turn email off? Well, I do when I'm training, because it'd be pinging and annoying you. But when I'm working, I don't need to turn it off, because I've started my day on 0 inbox. I know that I've got everything under control. And consequently, I am not compelled to check email every time, regularly, or when a new one comes in. I've got email windows in my day, morning and afternoon, and I don't look at email outside of those windows. I manage expectations on my website, on my auto reply. Today I've said I'm in events today, and I won't be, having access to email until tomorrow morning. Quite happy to say that. But it's really important to have that focus on those important tasks, and that will help you prevent task switching. Next one is what I call scoop the group. So do you remember I talked to you about hokey cokey, and that was in and out of those little tasks that happen regularly? So as a senior manager, if you're managing people, that could be, authorising expenses or holidays, doing one-to-ones, all that kind of thing, repeated tasks. Now, what I have found is if I group those things together, I do all my bookings or all my admin or all my email in a chunk. You're in that thought process. So it's much quicker to think, read the email, do something, schedule something, do something with it in that moment. Because if you do one email, and then you go and do your social media, and then you come back to email, just that moving is a form of task switching, really. So if you kind of group all those smaller things together, it's really efficient. Put an hour in your diary to do all bookings or all email or all of whatever your work entails, all social media. Grouping together can be helpful to get it over the line. And you can also use chunking when things are too big. So either group lots of little things together or break big things apart so that all of your work is manageable and efficient. Is this making sense? It feels like it's making sense because I'm seeing some nods. So I'm always happy with nods. But challenge me if it doesn't make sense or you don't think something would work for you, because this really is for you. It's not for me. Procrastination, that little demon, it nicks time. Studies have shown over an hour a day. So I've given you the task switch in 21-minute bit. If you can overcome procrastination, you could already be on to 2 hours a day. That's quite powerful, right? How do I overcome procrastination? Well, I've got what I call 3 steps to act. Okay, so action changes things. I am very action focused. I said that in my feedback to Cheryl last week. I've got this lovely journal and I want to get going with it because I trust Cheryl. I know it's going to make a difference. So it's part of my planning now. The 3 steps to action changes things are this. So first step is the super easy mini action. So when something isn't going to take very long, sometimes it's quicker to just do it than it is to write it on a list, So if you identify those little things that you can just get out the way, it's like swatting a fly away almost, just do that. Then you've got the step action that I talked a bit to Kim about. So that's when you've got something that is either unpleasant or too big and you break it into chunks. But here's the important bit. You don't just break it into chunks. You do something with all the chunks, right? You don't just do a bit and think I'll do the rest later. It'd be like for social media, I'll do my posts at 10 o'clock in the morning, my invites to new connections at lunchtime. I'll do my content creation at 5 o'clock in the evening after all my other work is done. But there are specific times for specific things until the whole thing is complete. Does that make sense? And then finally, there's the big action. There's that exciting, juicy task like a proposal for a new client or a meeting that's going to make a difference to you or your business. And that is something you might just want to give your energy and time to and have a big window in your diary to get that over the line. Okay, so that's all about overcoming procrastination. Now we're going to talk about seek and you shall find. So I'm going quite quick, ladies. You know, put your hands up and stop me if you need some time to reflect, but I will do a little summary at the end of each section. If I go too fast, that's a Mandyism. You know, I'm 100 mile an hour me, so stop me. Yeah, put the brakes on if you need to. Seek and you shall find. This is all about having a place to keep everything and everything in its place. So in the decluttering scenario, in our homes, if we know where things are, the keys are on the hook, the cutlery's in the cutlery drawer, right? The coats are on the hook, whatever it is, you go to it and you get it right away. There may be some other things that are less organized that might need a little bit of time. Same at work. All those electronic files, you know, you may have email folders, but there may be too many, or they may be out of date, or they may not be well labeled, you know. All the things that you want to keep, you need to be able to access them easily. And I can give you 100 ideas on how to do that. But it's something for today, I just want you to at least think about. If you're wasting time, be aware of what is wasting your time. And if it's looking for things, then that storage needs to change. We'll touch back on it in the creation for elation at the end. Next up, copycat. Copycat is all about, do you remember I told you in the time wasting monsters over and over? So the things we repeatedly do, similar things. And the one suggestion is for like inviting people to connect with you on LinkedIn or doing a proposal for a client. And the words you use may be similar and you may be typing them. So I have Word documents that contain little paragraphs that would, you know, a generic paragraph that I would use to invite on LinkedIn. And yes, I'll personalize it. I'll say, oh, hi, Kim, you know, lovely to meet you on I Am Woman Hours. You know, it's great to be an I Am Woman. And then there'd be a bit, you know, this is what I do, my little paragraph that I've copied from Word, right? And then I would personalize it at the end. You know, it'd be lovely to see you for a coffee at the next event. So it feels really personal and lovely, but the time that I would take typing that, I've copied it. Same with links. You know, people regularly ask me questions. Oh, how did you do that? Or where did you do that? Seek and ye shall find. Mandy has a Word document called All Links. Hyperlinks to my LinkedIn profile, to my website, to my phone number, to my email address. Now I Am Woman is on there. You know, I'm talking about networking. What is this group? Oh, I'll send you a link to I Am Woman. It's brilliant. I recommend you join. Here's the link. But I don't have to look Cheryl up and then send all the information. I just copy it from my document. Yeah. So copycat, brilliant way to save time. If you're more tech savvy, you know, you could automate it or, you know, get that to happen automatically if you haven't gone that far. But, you know, just the templates have been really helpful for me. So let's do a quick recap on what I call Elimination Station. So remember, duplicate reading wastes time. So with your emails, don't look at them unless you've got time to at least do the first step of what you're doing with them. Task switching wastes 21 minutes. So you need the power to focus and get to completion. Maybe not the whole task, maybe a chunk. You decide. It's entirely up to you. Scoop the group is all about grouping tasks that you repeatedly do together because it's more efficient and you commit to doing them in one go in your diary. Remember the 3 steps to overcome procrastination: mini action, breaking up into steps that you schedule and commit to, or the big bang when you do it all at once. Seek and ye shall find is all about storage of things you're going to need to find, and copycat is all about templating so that you've got something to copy and it saves you typing it. Now I'll add into that, people are increasingly talking to me about AI, you know, and quite a lot of the things we regularly use are now offering us AI solutions. Go to do a LinkedIn post, it'll ask you, do you want us to write this for you using AI? And I like writing. I am quite creative and I like my content. I enjoy doing that. So I decline. But if writing posts in your thing, AI's out there, you know, ChatGPT, log on, get someone else to do it for you. Why not? It's free. Cool. So we're making great progress, and now I'm going to talk to you about the master plan. Before I move on to planning, has anyone got any questions on time wasting flips into strategies that could help?
I just need to add, Mandy, you've only got 8 minutes left.
Okay, I'm going to go super fast.
Great.
Perfect. So planning, first tip, consistency. Okay. So Cheryl said to me with the journal, you know, you need to do this last thing at night to get the subconscious working. Doesn't matter when or how you plan your day, as long as you do the same every time. So if it's electronic and it's in the evening as you log off, always do it that way, that time. Find what works for you and stick to it. Don't let anything derail that. Scheduling. Interesting that Cheryl works with 8 goals in the journal. I use the power of 5. I'm kind of using a bit of a blend of that now, but the power of 5 is all about writing down 5 important things you'll do tomorrow and an emphasis on the word important. So instead of a big overwhelming to-do list, some of which you'd automatically do anyway, make it a succinct list of things you will actually need to do because they're urgent or important, they have a deadline. And use the principle of eat a live frog, which is doing the most difficult, the biggest, or the thing you procrastinate on first, because it frees your mind and helps you to do everything else quicker with that lovely feeling of relief. You know, you've made that difficult call or you've written that post that you found really hard. It's done. Everything else will be easier thereafter. The next tip is to be clear. So if any of you have managed people, you may be familiar with SMART, which is being specific, having things that are measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-stamped. So if you write on your to-do list, ladies, get more clients, it won't happen. You know, it just won't happen. But if you've got a plan that says, I want 24 new clients this year, that's 2 per month. How am I going to do that? You know, I'm going to make calls, I'm going to send emails, whatever it is. You have actions that are really clear and specific that you will actually do, and not all of them will turn into clients. But, you know, you might find 3 leads and convert 2, you might review your plan. But that is a really good way. The clearer you are with your targets and goals, the more likely they are to happen. Now, here's one for you girls. Write this down, get a tattoo. Ask for help. If, when you do your planning, you recognise you've got a busy day, it could mean you need to ask your family to do the shopping or the cooking. It could mean if you've got colleagues or a team that you need to delegate something or hire someone to do some work for you. But don't sit there drowning. You know, people like helping. Call me. I love helping people, you know. Don't think you've got to do it all on your own. Ask for help. Review your plan at regular details so that you can tweak it if you're doing too much or not enough. So in keeping with time management for the session, I'm going to jump straight to creation for elation. Now, these are the things that you can devise that will help save you time. Number one, Karen's going to like this, environment. You know, a nice desk, a nice working environment, and an set of electronic files as well, but things that, you know, limit distractions as well. So if you need an environment with no distractions, put the phone in the other room, turn the notifications off, create an environment that limits distractions. Number two, make sure you get that storage right for your documents and information. Make sure it's well labeled. And if you've got people working with you, make sure it's easy for everybody to find and that you all use the same system. You know, I had a thing in Admiral where I was looking for attendance records and somebody else had filed it under sickness. You know, essentially it was the same thing, but there were two folders and I could never find the blooming thing until we all agreed on something we would have a mutual label and then we could all find them. Templates and holding pens, you know, I mentioned copycat. Make sure you've got things you can copy to reuse. And a database. Who's got a database? You know, most people, even if they haven't got a sophisticated CRM type thing, they've got a spreadsheet or they've got contacts saved on Outlook or on address book. They've got a form of database. But if you know the people in your professional world and how to get in touch with them by email or phone, and you know their address if you want to send them a Christmas card, having everything in one place is always going to be easier. And finally, the smart new world. And smart is all about being specific and clear when you write your plans, when you write your emails, when you ask for help. You know, if you go, I'm really busy, I need some help around here, people are not going to be able to respond to that. But if you say, I'm really busy, would you be able to go shopping before 5 o'clock, being really clear and specific with the time, because I'm cooking at past and I need the ingredients. You know, I've had a lot of conversations with my teenage son where I go, oh, can you help me out? Can you go and get this shopping for Mum? In his head, that's 9 o'clock at night. You know, when he's finished doing everything else, that's no good to me. I need to cook with that stuff. So I need to tell him very clearly when I need the ingredients. Does that make sense? Being smart, being clear. Okay, that's a really quick roundup of some little nuggets, which Cheryl recently described as a golden egg. I'm loving that. I'm keeping that. But ladies, I've thought dumped on you. There's a lot there. Is there any questions from the areas we've covered?
I would love to take questions because so many of us I know will really struggle. And gosh, you've come up with so many. For me, I love that. Eat the live frog. Can you tell me a little bit more about eating this live frog? Because it sounds a great thing to do.
Yes, eat the live frog is very much when you make your plan, when you make your list of 5 important things, there will be one thing. If human nature would be, let's say you've got a staff member and you've got an awkward conversation to have with them because they're not pulling their weight. Most humans would put that as number 5. And, you know, if they're very creative, they would do their creative work first because that's the shiny stuff, you know, and that's the stuff we enjoy. Or, you know, we joked a bit earlier about, well, I'll have a nice cup of coffee before I do email. Eat the Live Frog is all about flipping it. So, you know, do that really difficult or important task and then have your coffee. Do that difficult or important task and then do your creative work that fills you with joy. That work is almost like a reward for making that difficult call at the beginning of the day. Does that help?
It does. So over to you guys. Any questions before we take your feedback of which one you're going to implement and how will that be actioned? Any more questions before we take your feedback? Right, we'll just go straight into feedback then. Althea, you were really struggling. So what thing really struck you that you think, oh, I'm going to implement that and put it to work straight away?
I I have been using something similar to Eat the Life Frog, which is 3 things. Basically, only put 3 things, whether they're small, big, or large, or whatever, in the day. You only do these 3 things. And if you have more space to do everything, you will do the rest. But don't try to do with the full to-do list, 20 things to do, and I need to get it done by the end of the day. So it's similar to, I think it's similar to Eat That Frog is kind of like a book now that's out as well. And it does have really good things. So when you were talking, I quite like a lot of the concepts. The only thing I would bring in for me, just my experience, because all of that works, I think it works when you do it. But I think sometimes if you're a little bit neurodivergent like me, and when I say neurodivergent, not seriously neurodivergent, but just my energies. And so I was looking to see if I can get any tips on energies, which is basically if you add in neurodivergent, you might find that when your energy dips, you have to know when to do the work. So if you're excited about doing something now, do it now, because that's when your energy, your natural body says, I can concentrate now. So I practice that and it does work. But I've been, thank you so much for all of that. I think it's really helpful, and it's a lot of the strategies are things that I actually try to practice. But I just wanted to ask you, what tips you have when you go in and out of the practice? Because I tend to go in and out of it. How do you deal with it? Is that just a discipline thing? Like when you start doing all the different things you talk about, sometimes you have like wonderful months of just ding, 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 and then you go, boom, and then you come back up again.
I personally use, because don't go thinking I never get overwhelmed or take too much on or fail to do my 5 things, because that is just normal. You get curveballs, you get days when you're tired. Karen hit the nail on the head. I'm a hormonal lady who quite often, wakes regularly in the night and wake up just feeling like I don't know where to start. So the good news is I've planned my day the day before, so that always gives me a bit of energy, just having that plan. But I do use a technique, what I call the reset button. And I also use a technique called fast forward and rewind. So the reset button is all about just take a beat. This isn't working for me today. I've got this perfect plan. I'm meant to be in the Live Frog, but I'm not feeling it. Or I'm really creative, but I'm trying to do this PowerPoint presentation, the things tomorrow, I'm not feeling it. That's the point where I walk away from my desk. That's the point where I know if I'm not doing a good job, I'm not enjoying it, I'm not making progress, I step away. I will then procrastinate deliberately. I'll go for a walk, I'll get that cup of tea, I'll go out the garden, and I'll go again. And I might think, right, okay, Live Frog's not working for me today, so let's do something that is. You're absolutely right there, Althea. Do things that work for you. So it's great having a routine, yeah? So it's like meal times, right? You might have a family meal time, but there may be some days when you're really hungry an hour earlier, or you're not hungry and you don't eat your tea at that time. And do you know what? That's fine. Fast forward rewind is for times when you're feeling self-doubt, when you've got a bit of imposter syndrome creeping in, or things aren't working out the way you thought, despite working really hard and planning it all and doing all this stuff. So fast forward rewind for me is all about rewind to a time when it really wasn't working, or you really weren't successful. Like when I first launched my business, I was lonely, I'd had a department of 70 people and a peer group of 400, and suddenly I was on my own with no support. That was really hard. But I realised that there was a time when doing my job in Admiral was really hard, and I put all these strategies in, and then I got really good at it, and I made loads of friends. So rewinding for me goes, sometimes things are hard and you get better. Fast forward then from that point and go, right, if I've just started my business, but in 6 months' time, I'll have these clients and I'll have met lovely ladies through networking and I'll be making a profit. And because I've succeeded in my rewind, I have got confidence in my fast forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And coming
Lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
coming to you, Kim. So what have you learned and what are you going to put into practice for yourself?
Lots is the answer. Lots. Duplicate reading. I'm terrible one for that. I thought that was really good, and having email chunks, because with it being on your phone, you know, just constantly looking, and there's lots of that can go. Just fine-tuning my planning, you know, and chunking same things into specific periods of time. I think that would be really helpful as well. And you know, just eliminating the distractions and thinking about when is a good time for me to do creative work, because I like creative work as well, but it does tend to be the thing that gets left behind. So yeah, planning time to do the other things that I need to do, and then having that relaxing period of my day where I can do the creation things.
Thank you.
Do you know what? That's a brilliant point you've made there, Kim, because if you do eat the live frog and do the hard stuff first, and sometimes there's no time left for what you really are good at or really enjoy. So it is important. But you're right, all those little things you've identified, like the duplicate reading, will give you that time. So you can actually do both the hard stuff and the fun stuff, and finish work on time, and have a lovely time with your family and friends. And I am not a textbook girl who's read the theory. I have lived and breathed this stuff for 30 years in Admiral and for 2 years as a business owner, and it just works. So I'm really happy you found things that work for you.
And we're going to go to Rachel. Rachel, what are you going to put into practice that you picked up this morning? You're on mute. We'll come back to you, Rachel. Karen, over to you. What have you picked up from this morning, and what are you going to put into action?
I think for me, the biggest thing is to sort my office out and just plan it for the new house, so that I've got a really nice environment that is light, that's airy, that has fantastic storage, that I can find everything, and I want to go and stay in and get stuff done. So I'm quite looking forward to it. So I need to think about the colours and things that I want to go in there as well, because at the moment I've got a cheap IKEA desk that will sort of manage to get into the shed because it's not going into the house, and just find really nice stuff in there.
That's wonderful. And letting things go in your office. Sometimes we just hold on to too much, and just letting it create space for new.
I have a skip being collected as we speak with a load of crap in it.
Thank you, Karen. Over to you, Rachel. What have you learned? What are you going to put into practice?
Well, many apologies initially for my lateness. I do apologize. But with what I do, the Google review link, embedding that's going to be a really good one. And I also do a lot of copying and pasting with my set answers to what I do. So I use that a tremendous amount of time. And whenever I get an inquiry, I just look down the list and shoot it off straight away. Yes, so the main one though is embedding the Google review on my website.
And something I've noticed with you, Rachel, how do you copy all these files on your phone? Because I've seen you doing it on your phone, attaching links, attaching files and photos. So how do you manage all that off your phone?
They're in my clipboard and I pin them to the top. And then when you manage your clipboard, you can put a little link saying my first email, my first text message, my first WhatsApp, breakdown of what is cavitation. And then literally you just go into your clipboard and they're all there. You literally can just save them. And the ones I use the most, I pin them to the top. If I've got a new campaign going out, so the relevant emails and WhatsApp and text, they're at the top. And I just whack them off. So I don't even go into a Word document. They're all there on my phone.
Intriguing. We must have a session with you to see how you do this, because I'd love to know how to do that.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's good.
Thank you, Rachel. And Sangeeta, what have you picked up from this morning and what are you going to put into action?
Well, lots of things. And, for me, it is where I struggle is consistency, because, I get distracted. There's a lot of stuff happening with me as well. Like I connect with Karen so much with house move, with clearing, with so much. And I think it's about, I have started to schedule because I work better with that. So 10 a.m. I come in my office and then take things. But even when I come in the office, I get distracted. Okay, should I check my emails? Oh, there's a message come and all of that. And what I learned is, yes, Google link on the website. I have to redo my website as well. I'm going with you, looking into my branding and things. But I love the smart thing. And I want to check you with Mandy. Did I get it right? So smart is S for specific, is it?
Yeah.
And then measurable, then
Yeah.
action, then relevant.
Achievable.
Achievable.
Achievable is the A. So if you wrote a goal that was, get 400 new clients tomorrow, because it is so unlikely to happen, it won't motivate you. But if you said get one new client every day, that's achievable.
Okay, and then R is for relevant?
Yes.
And T is for time management, is it?
Well, the time stamp. So again,
Time
don't just get one new client, get one new client tomorrow or by the end of the week. Be really clear.
Really clear. Yeah, so that was really, really helpful. But everything you talked about, I think is going to help us all. And it's about even looking at things with different perspective, isn't it? Sometimes, and what I struggle is like, I'm great at giving help, but I am not great at asking for help. And I'm going to do that lots more.
Well, thank you, Sangeeta.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mandy, for coming online with us this morning in Iron Woman Hour and sharing your expertise. Is there anything you would like to add for us, Mandy, to spur us on today?
Well, what would be really helpful for me is if I do like an introductory email with ways that the ladies can get in touch with me for us to have one-to-ones and for me to find out even more about their businesses. I'm very excited to meet you all. So Cheryl, if I can send you one email that you can forward perhaps to the ladies, and then I'll put my LinkedIn hyperlink and things like that, and we can connect up and make sure that we help each other any way we can. It'd be brilliant. Is that okay?
Yes, thank you, Mandy. We're going to give you a virtual clap as though we're in the room.
Oh, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure to spend time with you all today.
Thank you. And I hope you all have a very productive day and overachieve in everything that you're planning on doing. And look forward to seeing you next Monday, 11 o'clock for Iron Woman Hour. And thank you again, Mandy. You've been amazing. Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. So happy. Thank you.